Can you tell us a bit about the deal for Aidan Flint coming back and how much is that going to help your football club?
Morning, Rob. And obviously, I'd love to tell you about any transfers or signings coming in here. But if anything needs to happen, you'll be the first to know, Rob.
How close is it to being done, Darren? The cat's out the bag now.
Nothing's ever close, Rob, until the deal's done, and that goes for any future players coming in. And as I said to you, you know that as and when, if the club makes any signings in the future, you'll be the first to know, mate.
How much will it help you to get a defender in? Because obviously you've lost numbers there, and you have been looking, haven't you?
Yeah. What I will say to you is that we're quite in the defending units. We're quite thin, really. When you look at us, we've got people in there which you've seen been deputising and getting on with it. But we just feel that probably in that department, that if we was to take a knock or an injury to another one of the defenders what's in there, then it would leave us a little bit short. So we just feel that it's probably an area of the pitch that would want some adequate cover, and we're losing like sort of Hennigan, Icky, James, McGuinness going back. There's four off the block really in terms of defensive cover.
When you are looking for defensive cover, how useful is experience when you're bringing somebody in as opposed to somebody who's maybe not played many games and maybe he's coming in as almost like a learning experience versus someone who's been there and done it?
Yeah, I think we've seen both facets of the game really, where you get experience, does what he says on the tin, and you get some youth which has got comes with a high level of a pedigree in terms of the expectations, prospects, and is hungry and eager to get an opportunity at the level, which we saw over the last couple of seasons. When you look at the likes of Story and McGuinness being young defenders coming in. So they can work both ways for me, and we've seen it at the football club in my time that I've been here, that in young or experienced defenders, they've worked in both aspects, even though they've come under different banners really. So yeah.
Has it been a frustrating window until now? Has it been difficult to get deals done? I mean, it's quite close to the end. Obviously, you have been looking for a while, haven't you?
I think that I've always stated that, you know, there's players out there, but you don't want to just go and sign players just simply for the fact of signing players, Rob. And we've had to really sort of take our time, and it's still taking our time with the availability of players. But we spoke about, Rob, you know, with the World Cup being at the time when it was, about potentially we don't know how this window is going to be, with teams holding on to their players and not allowing their players to go, or teams in the higher divisions suffering burnout or fatigue or injuries, which we've seen, which has had a knock-on effect with releasing younger or experienced players at this time. So it's been a real slow kind of window, certainly for us. But it's been a window that the focus has been more on the team, Rob, and making sure that the team's consistently giving their maximum despite the little adversities and the hurdles that we've had to overcome with injuries.
And when you sign players, Darren, and you're sort of looking at targets, how is sort of maybe a knowledge of the club important as well? Because this isn't like a lot of other League One clubs, is it? You know, and there is an expectation here. So if you've been here and you know what Sheffield Wednesday is about, how much of an advantage is that?
Yeah, of course. You know, the level that we are at, and we accept the level that we're at because we are at that level. But obviously the expectation that surrounds the football club, and we know about the history that the club has in the pyramid of football and how the club's looked upon in the pyramid of football outside of it. There's great expectation within our fans, so we accept that. It's part and parcel of where we are and who we are. But in order to restore that, then we know that we've all got work to do in order to getting the club back to those levels where we can speak about those, and it's a reality. Up until then, I'm very, very humble in my ways and in my views, Rob, as you know, and extremely working hard to try and bring that to a reality. But still, it doesn't take away the expectation, and rightly so. So when attracting players, that does help as well, really, in terms of where the club's at. But also at the same time, we've got two levels above us, divisions above us, where players, the ones that we're looking to try and get, have wonderful interest from the level above as well.
And one other thing on this. So when you are looking at signings as well, how conscious are you of how much football, you know, certain players have played? Because you might be looking at certain players who've not played since maybe the 2nd of October, for example, and, you know, judging fitness and whether or not they're immediately available to come in and play for you.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, I remember going back, Rob, and you know, we spoke about, you know, when we'd been through a real tough part of the where the team was suffering a lot of these soft tissue injuries, and I spoke about us getting a program together and testing and plyometrics testing, and then finding out weaknesses and that in terms of the bodies, and then putting in strength and conditioning programs to help maintain and get that robust state to the team. And as you've seen over the course of it since then, there's been a real turnaround in terms of that, really. The work, the same principles and dynamics will be done with these players, the ones if we do get them in, because let's face it, at this time now, when you're getting players in now, the reason why you're getting them is because they're not playing, whether they be frees or loans, or they're simply not playing. But each individual's got a different in there, you know, in terms of when we look at them and in terms of getting fit and getting back and playing. And I think that's the thing. Some can take a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Some may take 6 weeks. It's then looking at that program and looking at the fixtures coming up and making a decision on whether to recruit that individual.
How does imminent signings impact what's happening with Michael Hector? And have you, is that not one going to happen now, Darren, or what's the situation there?
We feel with where Michael's at, he's done really, really well, and he's been through the what we call the first stages of the training, the fitness, just gauging, and it's just a process with him in terms of that. But we've not made any decisions on Michael at all at this moment, Rob, and you know, he's done extremely well. He's done fantastic in terms of what he's had to do to this point. And as I said, you know, we're still taking our time on the situation with him, and it's great to have him here with us.
Is he still training with you at the moment, Darren?
Yeah, we've given him, we put him through a vigorous some tests, and when you put him through the test, the idea is to give him the next couple of days, because the body has to recover. Otherwise, you end up straining and pulling things. So at the moment, we've given him a couple of days for his body to rest and recover, and then we can assess him and then potentially look to try and move on to the next stage of that.
And with a defender's arrival imminent, would that really be it for you, do you think, between now and the end of the window, or are you looking at other positions, or are you maybe looking for, you know, more than one defender between now and the end of Jan?
You can look at it and think that we've lost, like I said, you know, 3, possibly 4 players, and you know we've the 2 loan signings have gone back. So in terms of where the squad is at, the bodies have become a little bit more lighter. But there's been great versatility with the squad that's probably been covered up and shaded over, but we're fully aware of the depth of the squad in terms of where we're at. So, you know, we're looking at, like I said, all departments, Rob. I've always been that clear, really. If the right player comes up and it's going to strengthen us and it's going to give us a different dimension to the team that we feel we're lacking, then we'll look to try and do that. But it's got to be right, really. So whenever the window's open over these 3 or 4 days, we're ever in the market to looking at possibly making us stronger going forward for the second half of the season.
Darren, considering the importance of the next 2 league games, how easy could it be to sort of overlook a game like this, and how do you avoid that happening?
Yeah, again, for me, Rob, and the team, it's the next game, and the next game is against Fleetwood in the FA Cup, and it's going to be a tough game. Why is it going to be a tough game? Because it's the third time we're playing them within a month. So both teams know each other, personnel, players. So it's very, very difficult. We can only focus on the game, and obviously the expectations outside of it will always grow because of it's easy to look at the game. But for us, we're just focusing on the game, Rob. And, my players have been well clear this week about, once the game got called off at Cheltenham, the focus is on the next game, which is Fleetwood Town in the FA Cup. We break away from the league, and you can easily focus on that. But when the league games come, they'll come and take care of themselves. What we got to look at is focus our energies on a good team, a team that we've played against over 2 league games and shaded both games, been really, really tough games. And we've shaded both, and we got them in the FA Cup now, where it's almost like a free hit for both teams in terms of how we approach the game.
From a manager's perspective, though, do you have to remind the players of that? Look, Plymouth's next week, Ipswich is after that. It's all about this game. It's Fleetwood in the Cup. We've got to be on that. Is that a message that you, as a manager, have to sort of just remind players at the start of your preparation for a game like this?
Absolutely, and it's what we've done. As I said to you, as soon as the game finished on Tuesday night, you get the disappointment of not having the game. So when you have that disappointment having the game, we trained, and then you get back on it, and it's just readdressing and getting the focus back on. And the reason why the focus is back on, because you break away from the league, and it's now into the FA Cup. But it's still a very, very competitive game. It's still a cup competition that we regard very, very highly. And we know it's going to be another difficult game, and we never take any game lightly. We always prepare as best as we possibly can for every single game. We've done no different for this game here against Fleetwood.
Is there any bigger motivation for this game, Darren, than to say to the players, look how much you enjoyed that Newcastle game? If you win this game, there could be another one of those in the next round.
Yeah, the motivation is, it's a competitive game. The motivation is, yes, it's cup competition. The motivation is playing in front of our home fans. All those are motivational factors for us with this game, and we're focused and determined as ever to continue what we're doing. And making sure that we're giving a good account of ourselves, and making sure that we're performing and looking to get better. There's never a stop button or a pause button on us, because every single time we're training and playing, Rob, it's looking to get better and better and improve on all areas and aspects of our game. So there's never anybody pulling up the handbrake here or anything like that. It's really to really move to the next game and making sure that we're absolutely spot on. And I'd echo that with the supporters, to focus on the game. It's a cup match. Get right behind the team again, like you have been doing all season. And we've got to put all our energies and thoughts and focus into this game before looking anywhere else.
Injury-wise, what's the chances of Barry Bannon being back next week?
Yeah, real good chance, Rob. Has been back in training. He's been training really well. Every time when he's training, he's just making sure he's the next day afterwards that he's got no reactions really. And I think that's what it is. Sometimes when you train, you think, yeah, brilliant. Then we look for him the next day afterwards, and as long as he comes in and he's fine, it's another solid block on. But at the moment, he's looking really, really good.
Anything else to report in terms of injuries ahead of this game, Darren?
No, like I said, apart from the injuries to Reece and Icky, I don't think at this moment in time, before the game, we've got a training session to go, Rob, so hopefully it'll be a clean bill of health for tomorrow.
Okay. Cheers, Darren.
Thanks, Rob. Good to see you, mate.
Joe?
Yeah, right, Darren, sorry, I wasn't sure if
yeah, it's all right, mate.
How you, Joe?
Yeah, right, Darren.
Yes, good, thanks. Yeah, good, thanks, Joe.
Good stuff. Just on this game with Fleetwood, you sort of touched it there with Rob a little bit. How much more difficult does it make it when you're playing the same team for the third time in what's like less than a month?
Yeah, I mean, I've got no problem with it because they're the next opponents and it's competitive. But yeah, I can understand that. We've played each other 3 times within a month, and yeah, it can be repetitive, but it's a competitive game. I think it'll be a good game again because of the familiarities of both teams and the personnel and the players, coaching staff, everything that goes with it. And as I said, it's going to be a tough game, and we have to make sure that we're absolutely spot on because, as I said before, I think Scott Brown's doing great things at Fleetwood. There's a solidity about them, there's an understanding, there's patterns to them, and there's a clear thinking with him, and he's stamping his authority on the football club. So in terms of that, we know as a group of players and staff what difficult opponents they'll be, and we know that if we are to progress, we know we have to be really, really good and show a real good account of ourselves, really, because they'll be in town tomorrow again, and as I said, we played them last week and we've got them this week again.
And do you think that you might have anyone, there's obviously George had that issue with his foot you were saying about. Do you think that this might be a game for George to return, or is this one going to come a little bit too soon for him?
We think depends, Joe, because obviously he's been back in, and before I'm doing this recording, we've got another training session today. So we still got today, and then obviously in the day tomorrow for him to have a look. So George was never that far away, but with the injury that he sustained at Wickham, as I said, he suffered a cut to the top of his foot and severe bruising around the foot, and we spoke about him just managing the contact on the ball, and if he can manage that, which he has been doing, and no reactions again to him, and is applying the weight through his foot, then we see no reason why he can't be part of it tomorrow, whether that be a start or on the bench, or if not, then if he needs to miss another week, then we understand.
And just with Reece James, I know you said before that it was a few weeks. Have you got a sort of a better indication yet of when that might be? Are we talking sort of a month or less, or do you know where sort of when Reece is going to be back? Yeah,
we think, we still want to give it. I mean, next week, once he's sort of back out running around and getting those multi-directional movements in it, you'll be able to gauge more. But we hopefully anticipate that to be a few weeks, hopefully, if it all goes well. But again, I don't want to signify anything too quickly and say it's going to be that, because let's just give it a bit more time, really, and I don't want to put any pressure on him, because obviously we want him to come back, and then when he comes back, to stay back. We don't want to rush anything back too soon, Joe. So he's still with the medical guys, and it's still really too early for me to give you an absolute detail to say he's going to be back in 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or even 4 weeks.
Okay, cool. And with the transfer window, obviously not long of it left now. You said early doors that you didn't expect it to be a particularly busy one. We've obviously got a newspaper to fill and stuff. Should we be hanging about over the next few days, or do you think it's still going to be quite a quiet end?
Always keep hanging about, Joe. Just hang about, and we'll see over the next few days and that, because in football, 24 hours is a long time, and with us having a game on Saturday, hopefully the team will come through unscathed, and we won't have to manage any injury. We want people coming back and not losing players, and hopefully we've got 1 or 2 coming back in George and Baz, and look to try and add 1 or 2 more to it.
You mentioned there about sort of outgoings. There's been sort of continued reports in Scotland about Callum. Have you told them that you have? Obviously, I know you said that everyone's got a price and stuff, but have you told them that you don't want to let Callum go at this point?
Yeah, we've never ever wanted to let Cal go. You've seen the commitment by him. I understand the situation. I really get it. I understand it. It's part and parcel of football. I don't get too overawed by it, because I understand it's the dynamics of the game and the business and the industry. But in terms of talking about Callum, he's our player. He's contracted to us, and his commitment and his desire that he's shown towards us throughout the time has never waned, and it won't. It's just his professionalism. And my message has been to him, just continue doing what you're doing, and the rest will take care of itself, and it's exactly what he's been doing. So, and we just continue with that, Joe. That's the best I can give you at this stage.
Brilliant. Just lastly, Sean Rooney's back from his suspension after he lost his head a little bit in the last game. Are you going to have a chat with him before the game and check you guys are all right?
Yeah, I look forward to it, seeing him, and I've got the biggest hug for him.
Brilliant. Cheers, Darren.
Cheers.
Hi Darren, you okay?
Hello, Ricky. Yeah, good, thanks.
Good stuff. Just on going back to the transfers, in terms of the centre back, obviously I know Mark's gone, but is that something that you're kind of looking at, those similar traits, is that in potential targets, you know, the height for instance, but also someone that can play as that linchpin of the back three, you know, in the centre?
Yeah, we've lost obviously Ben, we've lost Icky and Mark McGuinness, and in terms of centre backs, they're like first time contact ones really, that we've lost in terms of that type of profile central defender. So yeah, it's looking for that type of profile along with others as well really, that if it does come and we can move and rejig the pack around, then we will do. What we've identified, like I said to you before, Ricky, was that we probably feel that there's a little bit of a shortage around in terms of cover around there, and even though we're coping with it at this moment in time, we would ill afford want to get an injury and leave us a little bit short in that area.
I was going to say I know we've talked about it a lot, about versatility of players, you know, Liam and Reece are prime examples, aren't they, really? Fullbacks by trade, but they've done a great job at centre half. But obviously once injuries by, you know, that's where the downfall is, isn't it? I mean, a lean squad is good to an extent, but then, you know, it can kind of bite you.
Yeah.
Come back to bite you.
That's right, yeah. And I'm grateful over the first half of the season in reducing our numbers in the squad. Has seen us, yes, we've had our injuries, but the versatility of the guys noticeable. Those two dropping into those central defending positions have been superb. And we know that they can play in those positions, but would we want them to stay with that numbers to the end of the season? Probably not. But if we are forced to do it, then we know that they've got that added versatility where they have dropped into there. So, but while the window's open, Ricky, we are looking to try and strengthen that.
Just on the defence, I mean, how pleased have you been with how adaptable that all the players have been? Because you look at the team that started the first game against Portsmouth, it was Stockdale, and then I think possibly Hector, and again, I think there was only of the back five and keeper, I think only two started the last game. So do you know what I mean? That it's kind of evolved, hasn't it? But the strength of it is that you're keeping clean sheets. Yeah,
and that just comes from, Ricky, what we're doing in training, but as a group, as an added group. And I know the back five, back three, back four, and the goalkeeper would take the plaudits. We feel it's been a joint effort by the whole team, and the whole team have had to bought into that in getting those clean sheets. Even those boys in those positions will get the pats on the back, but we still continue to work extremely hard because, as you know, Ricky, you keep the clean sheets, you've got a chance of winning the game, and that's part of the process this season where we've had to improve on and have improved on, but we don't stop there. We continue each and every single game, making sure that we're applying ourselves right and giving ourselves the best level. There's two parts of the game. There's one off the ball and there's one on the ball. And it's always working continuously to get both aspects right. And certainly off the ball, in terms of the clean sheets, what we've been keeping, to have that amount of clean sheets at this stage of the season is an excellent job by the players, and long may it continue, because we'll need that in abundance, certainly for where we are the second half of the season, and continue that run of games going, and the results and the clean sheets is an added bonus as well.
Just on Michael Hector, have you got a latest update on him? Is there like any time scaling, firm time scales for when he could potentially be back?
With Icky, we think now it looks like, and I said as we go along, we just keep monitoring him. But we think it's going to be probably more towards the end of the campaign, really, than any time soon here now. We just take, obviously, it's an injury that we have to be really cautious with and take our time. He is healing, he is getting better, but it's just a slower process, really. And as I said, you know, we'll keep monitoring him and going from there, Ricky.
Just on, obviously, deadline day is on Tuesday. What's your experiences as a manager been at deadline day, both at West Brom and obviously Donny? Have you had late ones, you know, business going on late into the night?
Ricky, every single year we work extremely hard to get work done early. The earliest I've ever done anything in a transfer window is what we did this summer and got our work done really early. And in terms of getting the work done in the early, it's brought us forward to thus far. We work hard now to get our deals done now, but the truth of the matter is, for some unexplained reason, it always just hits the fast forward button on the last day for whatever reason. But all managers, including myself, we try and avoid that last day. But I'm prepared to sit in the office till 11 o'clock on Tuesday if we feel that we have to get one or two of the line. As I said, we all sit as managers hoping that this weekend's fixtures we get through unscathed. But we know with this weekend's fixtures, you know, we could get knocks or injuries that you have to react off the back of that, really. So let's hope that that's not our case, and hopefully over the next 2 or 3 days the window goes smooth for us, and if we need to add any more, that they really help the squad and boost the squad in going forward.
Just wanted to ask you about, obviously, in terms of outgoings, there's not been too much talk. I know there's been rumours about Callum, but one player I wanted to ask you about was Jayden Brown. He's played, I was looking at his record earlier, I think he's played 75 minutes in the league. You know, you've got a lean squad, which was mentioned earlier, but what's his situation in terms of, you know, is he quite vocal about it? You know, the fact that he's not getting much game time. I don't think he's played since October. You know, if you look through the squad, we said it's lean. He would appear to be the one in regular matches or getting regular action. So what's his situation?
Yeah, Jayden wants to play. Let's not make no qualms or bones about that. He wants to play. So, and rightly so, he's a professional footballer. And Jayden's on the left-hand side, and you know, we've seen him deputise at left back, left wing back, or even left-sided centre back. What he has to do is he has to continue doing and keep training hard. At this stage now, with the injury to Reece James, would we be seeing Jayden go anywhere? No, because you know we need him for our own purposes, and he's part of the squad for this weekend's game. So that's where he's at the moment. Does he want to play? Yes, he does. As does all the players in there. He's no different. My message has always been clear to him, like it is to all the players. Keep your head down, keep working extremely hard, and be ready for the opportunity, as opposed to the opportunity catching you and you're not ready and prepared for it. And that's always been the message to the whole group, and Jade is the same as well. But we can sympathise with him, because you know, just having 75 minutes of football up till now is a bit sparse. But as I said, you know, football's an incredible funny business. That 1 minute where it seems there's no minutes, all of a sudden you can have a multitude of minutes with situations that can arise.
I was going to say Jack Hunt, I suppose, is a prime example of that in the last few weeks. He's been called back in.
Yes.
Similar as well. He was quite similar to Jayden in terms of not getting a lot of matches, and then obviously he started the last couple.
Yes, and you've seen Jack's adaptability, that when he's come in, he's performed. And it's just been, the team's continued in the upward trajectory motions which we want, even though it's been different personnel, and Jack's been part of that, and he's had to wait patiently, but he's trained hard, he's worked hard, he's kept himself right, but he too was one that wanted to play football, and you know, the opportunities come now. He's performed really well over the last couple of games, and again, you know, should he be selected tomorrow, he'll know he's expected to go again.
Just lastly, I just wanted to ask you about Duncan Ferguson going in at Forest Green. Obviously, caught a lot of people, I suppose, off guard. But appointments like that for League One, I mean, did that kind of shock you, and how do you kind of welcome appointments like that?
No, excellent appointment. Congratulations, Duncan and Forest Green, for the appointment. And we wish him sincerely all the best there. But it just goes to show another level of calibre of manager in terms of where Duncan's played his career and where he's been at. You know, we've known he's been a part of Everton Football Club for years, but the managers that he's worked under. So he comes to Forest Green with his wealth of experience, know-how and leadership qualities as a leader, Duncan. And he'll give that group of players in that football club a wonderful leadership. He's a good man. He's got a wonderful presence about him, and he's got a know-how with the game in terms of what he's want to do. And it's a wonderful appointment. And in terms of where the club's at the moment, they've ticked a massive box in terms of them getting out where they need to get to and get up the league. So we wish him well, and I look forward to hopefully seeing him at some point later in the season.
Good stuff. Cheers, Dan. Good luck tomorrow.
Cheers, Ricky. Thanks.
Hello, Darren. Are you okay?
Morning, Leon. Yeah, no problem,
Morning.
mate.
Good to see you. I was just sort of thinking, is this the time when the dominoes start to drop? I mean, some League One clubs are a bit of a food chain. You're waiting for the Premier League clubs to do all their sort of business, and things do sort of start to open doors open.
Yeah, and of course, with it being the fourth round of the FA Cup, the squads get used more in depth, really. So sometimes you got to wait for the weekend, and then all of a sudden one or two are made available, and then it just, like you said, the domino effect does come into action, and that's why we're all sit poised waiting for that, really. So we'll wait and see, but I did predict that it would be a slow window because of the World Cup, and I just thought nobody's going to let anything go too quick too soon, and it's been showcased that way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going to go into now. I mean, everyone knows about the statue of Sheffield Wednesday, but the fact you're having such a good time with it, there must be, when you speak to agents, there must be a lot of, interest from them for their clients to, join the club, because it's a glossy brochure at the minute.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and rightly so, and it's great to have that attached to you, really. But it looks that way, Leon, because where we are as a football club, the messages that's been coming out of the football club, and where the club's perceived on the outward looking in. So we have to, but within us as in the club, we still feel that we have to do the work and up the work that we're doing, stay consistent with our approach, and don't deviate away from it, really, and just keep consistent and keep improving on what the platform that we've set here. And when I speak about that, I keep saying people will associate me talking about me and the team. I associate it right through the football club. And my message has always been, keep up the good work, what you're doing. The staff in and around the football club is appreciated. The fan base, everything, all the bits and pieces you and I can do at the football club, or he or she can do at the football club, continue doing it, because it's greatly received. So that's always been my message, and will continue to be my message to everybody connected with the club.
And it's seen as stable at the minute, isn't it? You've got it stable on the pitch, and it seems to be calmed down a lot behind the scenes as well, and it's a steady club to join.
Yeah, and like the consistency on the pitch is something that we've always worked. Leon, I've always spoke about, seeing the woods through the trees, or, keep turning the page. And what I mean by that is performances, consistency, looking to get better, not getting too ahead of ourselves when it looks great, and not getting too low when it looks low. It's having that common balancing theme in between, and making sure that the work that you're doing is true, honest, reliable, consistent. And I think with that, it brings improvement, because players now understand that they have that solidity to rest on and lean on. But within that solidity to lean on, you're looking to get that better. So that's been a part on the pitch. My message has always been consistent throughout the club. To the supporters, we've got a fantastic support base. We've got a wonderful supporters base that's talked about in the pyramid of the English football leagues and outside the football club. And my message has always been with them: just continue supporting the club, and keep getting behind the boys and the team and keep playing your part. The part you're playing is greatly received, so keep playing your part, keep doing it, and stay consistent with it.
I was just going to say, finally, if you can get through, it would, and you get a nice tie, you've been the last 16, it'd really add to the feel-good factor. You've got some huge league games coming up, and it'd just keep the pot boiling, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and every time we take the field, every fixture, all eyes are on, because we understand it with the expectations, and that is the pool really, in terms of the fourth round and the chance for both teams. Clubs will be competing to try and get into the fifth round, and to be into the last 16 of the FA Cup at this stage of the season can only be a wonderful achievement. And that's why both clubs at our level competing at this stage, we know what it can bring for us in terms of revenue, exposure, feel-good factor, all those kind of things, Leon. And that's the driver for tomorrow's cup clash.
Yeah, top man, Darren. Thanks for your time as always. Cheers.
Good to see you, Leo. Thank you.
Take care, mate.
Top
Cheers.
man, mate. Tell up.